Hello World Wide Web, I'm Dr. Shado, the internet personality of the best hair, and welcome back to...
The Summer of Arnold Schwarzenegger!
And today's review is Total Recall. The 1990 film with Arnold Schwarzenegger, of course. Loosely based on the Philip K. Dick short story, We Can Remember It For You Wholesale, Total Recall is about a boring man living a boring life in a boring city on boring Earth with his boring wife, but with a lack of time or money to go on the great adventure that he wants to, he decides to just buy the memories of said adventure. Problem is, these memories may or may not have been erased from him in the first place. Which lines up mostly with the original story, except this is a Schwarzenegger movie, so we actually go to Mars and kick all the asses. We don't just spend the whole time on Earth and spend half our time communicating telepathically before remembering that also when we were 9 years old we saved the Earth from tiny aliens. The point is, Schwarzenegger stars as Douglas Quaid, a man whose desire to see Mars one day is interrupted by the revelation that he actually already was there, and there's this huge secret agent, double agent, triple agent, quadruple agent conspiracy that's twisting the plot into a balloon animal. Or maybe it isn't. That's the thing about Total Recall. There's a lot of ambiguity with what exactly is going on, so let's take a look at Total Recall and see if we might actually be able to figure it out for once. Our story opens up on Mars as Arnold walks along its red dunes along with a lady. Then he fucking trips over his space shoelaces. But it was all just a dream! Which is actually how the original short story started out as well, except without the babe or the death thing. Just like, yeah, Mars. I like it. It's red. Like the original writing, though, this is a recurring dream by Douglas, played by Arnold Schwarzenegger, and his wife, Lori, played by Sharon Stone, finds the idea of Mars incredibly annoying. Doug here is obsessive about it, though, possibly spurred by the news about societal unrest on the Red Planet, what with the space magicium ore mines, and the cruel leadership of Cohagen, who controls the planet's air supply. Lori thinks what Doug needs is a distraction.
There's a lot better places than Mars. What about Saturn? Don't you want to see Saturn?
Nice alien.
Interestingly, his wife in the original movie actually suggested the bottom of the ocean. She really did not want him leaving Earth. Either way, all the fun he can have literally anywhere else in the solar system doesn't scratch his itch to go to Mars. But on his way to work, a commercial promises it might have what he needs. Not actually going to the Red Planet, but buying the memories of a 5-star vacation there, through Recall. Of course, when he brings this up to his coworker, Harry, played by Robert Costanzo, he has some advice for him.
Well, don't!
Why not?
A friend of mine tried one of their special offers, nearly got himself lobotomized.
And all he was trying to do was remember his account passwords and security questions. So neither Lori nor Harry want Doug to even think about Mars, but this hardly stops him from visiting Recall and meeting the receptionist, who, if my reading skills are accurate, was a topless blonde who painted her boobs various colors in the original story. Here she just lets Doug through to see Bob McLean, played by Ray Baker. Doug has an appointment, after all, and McLean has just the vacation package for him.
If outer space is your thing, I think you would be much happier with one of our Saturn cruises. Everybody raves about them.
No, I'm not interested in Saturn.
Don't worry, Doug, nobody in the 90s was. So Mars it is, with only a few questions. First of all, they assure him that the memories will seem as real as any other memory of his, and also that fatalities at Recall are at an all-time low, making it much safer than traditional space travel.
Nowadays, traveling with Recall is safer than getting on a rocket. Check out those statistics. Besides, a real holiday is a pain in the butt.
Okay, that graph just confuses me. It doesn't actually look like Recall became any safer as time goes on, just space travel became ridiculously more dangerous. Why is that? The salesman naturally won't stop trying to upsell Doug, and after he turns down Saturn or longer memories, he brings up something that only Recall can provide, the so-called ego trip, where he can remember his vacation as someone else entirely.
Why go to Mars as a tourist when you can go as a playboy or a famous jock or...
Secret agent. How much is that?
Pretty steep, pays not as good as you think, and your bored housewife will end up going off and fucking a used car salesman. Another minor difference from the original story is that ego trips weren't some new thing. It was common for people to come to Recall and ask for memories as alternate personas, and Secret Agent was already a common request. The important thing is no matter what, he jumps at the idea of remembering an awesome adventure to save Mars as a deep undercover agent, and they get right to preparing his memory implant.
I'll be asking you some questions, Doug, so we can fine-tune the ego program. You answer honestly, you'll enjoy yourself a whole lot more. Your sexual orientation.
Does this mean anything to you? The questions allow him to construct the girl of his dreams with a pretty damn high level of accuracy. As he slowly slips under the influence of their sleeping aid, they strap the man in for the memories of a lifetime. It is obviously the point in the film where shit goes incredibly wrong.
You blew my cover!
Another change from the original story. After being sedated, Doug wasn't thrashing around screaming at everyone that they blew his cover. He was barely whispering it. That's the Schwarzenegger difference. He also says his name is not Quaid. I mean, it wasn't. In the book it was Quail, but the two names are a new angle this time around. The only way they can manage to calm him down is by jamming his leg with enough tranquilizer to leave the Hulk in a coma. Not that this is at all concerning to McClane.
He's just acting out the secret agent portion of his ego trip.
I'm afraid that's not possible.
Why not?
Because we haven't implanted it yet.
All he got was some weird shit about princesses and hedgehogs, and all of a sudden he went berserk. Seems the man wished to be a secret agent on Mars was based on the fact that he was indeed a secret agent on Mars, and someone erased his memories. So they figure erase his memories of this and wash their hands of the man.
I'm gonna destroy his file and refund his money. And if anybody comes asking, we never even heard of Douglas Quaid.
Another difference from the original, in the short story, they only refunded half his money. I guess that's kind of working like emergency rooms, where you go there, wait 2 hours, don't get seen, leave out of frustration, and then you receive a $300 bill in the mail. In case you're sick of me droning on and on about the differences between this short story and this movie, don't worry, they divert drastically from this point on. He wakes in a Johnny cab, taking him home from recall, with no recollections as to what the hell happened, and the robot, voiced by Robert Picardo, isn't helping him any.
How did I get in this taxi? The door open. You got in?
It's kind of implied by the question. At least say which leg went in the car first. The cab brings him safely to his apartment, but for some weird reason, Harry is waiting for him, talking about this trip to Mars he took and his visit to recall, none of which Doug remembers, so he thinks the guy's just pulling his leg.
Come on, I'll buy you a drink.
Listen, I'm already late. Thank you very much, but...
Hey! Come right down. Come on, okay, bring him down here, hurry! Come on, move it! Let's go get that drink!
Fucking hell, Harry's dead serious when he wants to get some shots. So despite Doug's protests, Harry insists he should have listened to him, and the only one who has Doug mixed up with someone else is Doug himself. Then he tries to kill him. Without taking into account he's Arnold Schwarzenegger. Even in Jingle All the Way, when it's supposed to be generic dad number 48, he still beat the crap out of an entire room of Santas. With no one left to share a drink with, Doug hurries home to his wife, talking about how Harry went crazy, and people are talking about him having been to Mars, but he can't remember, and everyone is out to get him! Laurie obviously doesn't think much of these claims, though.
You're having paranoid delusions.
You call this a delusion?
Possibly. The existence of blood doesn't mean that Harry's dead, just that there's blood on your hands. Maybe one of the skinless villains from Hellraiser showed up for a game of patty cake. Whatever it is, he goes to wash it off while Laurie talks about calling the police. Doug obviously doesn't want that, but by the time he leaves the bathroom, he is under fire. A little scuffle in the darkness, and we soon find out from whom.
Laurie!
It still doesn't really prove the secret agent shit. I mean, he's not the first husband to ever make his wife want to punch him in the dick. However, when he finally gets the upper hand, she tells him it's true, that his memory was erased.
Our marriage is just a memory implant.
Think I'm stupid? Remember our wedding?
It was implanted by the agency.
Falling in love?
Implanted.
Goddamn, man's got more implants than she does. So he has no idea what his real life was, but he knows now that it's not this. Laurie was just an agency plant to keep an eye on him and make sure he remembered nothing. Not to say that she didn't enjoy her work, and she asks if she could keep him for a little overtime. But we see this just to allow the rest of the agency goons to get here in time to deal with him, so one quick punch to the face later, and he's on the move. This means we don't learn anything new when the agency reaches the apartment, outside from the fact that Richter here, played by Michael Ironside, is the actual husband of Laurie. But thanks to a handy-dandy tracking device, they have no problem keeping the chase going, especially considering Quaid is dumb enough to carry a gun through a massive X-ray at a security checkpoint. It's also said this was the first major motion picture to utilize CGI for effects shots. And they only used it for the X-ray machine. Everything else was miniatures, puppets, and other kinds of traditional effects. Utilizing a random civilian as a bullet sponge, Quaid eventually makes it to a subway car and actually manages to escape his pursuers. This isn't good news, both because Richter let him get away, and also because he was trying to kill him the whole way, something his boss, Cohagen, played by Ronnie Cox, doesn't want and feels is completely unnecessary.
Laurie says he can't remember jack shit.
That's now. In an hour he could have total recall.
Listen to me, Richter.
This isn't one of those movies with instant cassettes. He can't just rent the flick and find out the truth. Cohagen says no matter what, they must take Quaid alive. Not that Richter cares. Static, something. Oh, we're losing you, sir! And gaining a beat on Quaid. So it's off to kill him! However, someone else has managed to contact Quaid first.
If you want to live, don't hang up.
Listen to me very closely. The warranty on your vehicle is about to expire, but I've got a great opportunity. God damn it, I'm sick of this shit! The mystery man on the phone lets Quaid know that he's got a tracking device installed, but he can't get it out right now because it's in his skull, so yeah, don't worry, wrapping a wet towel around your head will mask the signal far better than your wet, meaty head ever could. Then the caller instructs him to retrieve a case from the phone booth before he disappears into thin air. It's easy enough to retrieve, he only has to assault one old lady, and then walk calmly away, up until Richter spots him. Then he has to catch a cab before it's too late.
Please state a street and number.
Shit!
I'm not familiar with that address.
Oh, it's just down no fucking way. Fortunately, though, these self-driving taxis just so happen to be equipped with joysticks just in case the passenger feels the need to rip Johnny off his stump and have an action scene. This allows him to leave some skid marks and escape into the night once again.
The fare is 18 credits, please.
Sue me, dickhead.
I wondered how robot taxis would deal with unpaid fares. About the same as regular taxis. Now that he's all alone, Doug digs through the suitcase to find out what it's all about. He's got some Monopoly money, various ID cards, sci-fi medical equipment, a spy watch with something way cooler than a calculator or even a walkie-talkie, a hologram. Then, of course, there's a video message to Doug from Doug. Seems he used to be an agent on Mars, but along the way he found a hot-ass babe and also learned something, fighting for the wrong side, gotta help out the rebels. Problem is, this recording is a contingency plan, which means if he's seeing it, things didn't go all that well and his memory was wiped.
And here comes the hard part, old buddy. Now it is all up to you. Great.
Don't worry, man, your real name's Schwarzenegger, you'll be fine. First things first, though, he's gotta get the tracking device out of his head. Just so happens the handy-dandy tool in the case is designed to go right up his nose and dig that sumbitch out. Damn, we're in trouble if nose goblins are starting to load up with Manet balls. Now that his head is 510 grains lighter, the video tells Doug to get to Mars and go to the Hilton with a specific ID on the double. Thus, discarding his old tracking device, he's off. Unfortunately, not fast enough to get rid of everything, so Richter knows well he's heading to Mars. Which means he's on the first shuttle over, but can't seem to locate Douglas Quaid anywhere. Just your average assortment of tourists enjoying a vacation to Mars, with nothing out of the ordinary whatsoever.
So how long do you plan to stay on Mars?
2 weeks.
Have you brought any fruits or vegetables onto the planet?
2 weeks.
Ah, the woman is an imposter. Just makes me wonder how he got this far where they're only able to say 2 weeks. Unless it just recently started glitching out, I guess. So the shit hits the fan. And by that, of course, I mean it's revealed that the woman is in fact not a woman, but a suit being worn by Arnold Schwarzenegger. Also, her head explodes, then Richter shoots out one of the windows, resulting in depressurization. The kind you usually associate with spaceships, despite that not even being entirely accurate for how such an event would go on Mars, or in space for that matter. Whatever the case, they can only stop it by sealing the area with emergency shutters, which Douglas manages to quickly slip past, again evading his pursuers.
Open it! They're all connected!
Just our luck they built the entire security system out of Christmas tree lights. Having managed to slip away, Doug makes it to the Hilton and signs in with the ID in question. Seems there was something left there under his name. A flyer for a strip club with a note to ask for Melina, written in Doug's own handwriting. So it's off to Venusville to the last resort, taking the cab owned by Benny, played by Mel Johnson Jr. Another action scene breaks out, but it's not one involving Doug. This kind of shit is just what happens on the Red Planet.
First time on Mars?
Yes. Well, actually, no. Well, sort of.
Damn, the man don't even know he's been to Mars or not.
We'll just find out he never actually got caught and got his memory erased. He just got really shit-faced one night. Either way, it doesn't take long to reach Venusville. One half red light district, the other half psychic mutants with questionable accuracy.
I bet I can guess your birthday.
What is it?
You're a Taurus, right?
That's my zodiac sign, kid. Fortunately, he doesn't need a psychic to find the last resort, and asks the bartender to see Melina. Unfortunately, she seems to be busy at the moment.
Mary here, she's free.
Well, not free, honey, but, available.
This isn't particularly plot relevant, I just know that out of all the things people will complain about if I skip over, the triple titty is pretty high on the list. Eventually, after pressing the issue for long enough, Doug manages to get that special alone time with Melina, played by Rachel Ticotin. Not the happy, sexy type, but the aggressive interrogation type. She's not happy that Mr. Hauser left all of a sudden and hasn't contacted her in months, to which he responds that he kind of forgot because he forgot pretty much everything thanks to Cohagen erasing his memories and all that. Problem is, he mentions having a boring life on Earth with a wife, and that's the last straw, you two-timing amnesiac adulterer. Get out of her sight right now! So much for that lead. All he can do is go back to his hotel room, until a mystery knock on the door turns out to be none other than Dr. Edgemar from Recall, played by Roy Brocksmith. According to him, he's not really here, but then again, neither is Doug.
Where are we?
At Recall. You're strapped into an implant chair, and I'm monitoring you from the psychoprobe console.
I've also invited my cousin over, and he's been using a Sharpie to draw dicks all over your face. The story goes that this was his ego trip, but something fucked up and his brain decided to just start making shit up based around the memory tapes that were being implanted. The bad part, however, is that they can't wake him up from the outside, so Dr. Edgemar was inserted into the vacation as an emergency measure to try to get him out willingly. To help convince him that this is the right decision, they even bring in his wife. That tried to get him killed earlier in the ego trip, but just ignore that little detail for now. Dr. Edgemar can bring Doug back to the real world with the tried and true handy-dandy red pill. Doug still is having trouble accepting all of this, though, and wonders what might happen if he just kills him instead.
The walls of reality will come crashing down. 1 minute, you'll be the savior of the rebel cause, and the next thing you know, you'll be Cohagen's bosom buddy. But in the end, back on Earth, you'll be lobotomized.
I mean, yeah, but wouldn't have to go to work tomorrow is all I'm saying. So given the choice, Doug takes the red pill, then remembers we still got like 45 minutes of movie left, and administers the lead pill, spitting out the red pill. Seconds later, the walls come crashing down around him, and it turns out the agency has tracked him down. Probably because, as we all know, Laurie is working for them after all.
That's for making me come to Mars. You know how much I hate this fucking planet.
I don't know. I'm just saying, if I were living out a fantasy adventure, I don't think it would involve my balls being crushed nearly as often. With Quaid under their control, they begin to drag him off, up until Melina shows up and murders the fuck out of the goons. Spare Laurie, who she ends up in hand-to-hand combat with, almost being killed by the woman until Quaid comes to and saves the day.
We're married.
Consider that a divorce.
Now, YouTube will just call that limited marriage. With that, Doug escapes with Melina right before Richter shows up to find out his wife is fucking dead, so he wants very much to kill the shit out of Doug. But he can't open fire because the dome is right there and we know what happened last time he shot the glass. Fortunately for Doug, Benny is still waiting at his beck and call and provides a good old-fashioned car chase. The bullets are flying and the mining vehicles are making things more than a little squirrely, but he's able to get the two of them back to the last resort fast enough that they can slip behind a secret door, leaving Richter to ask around to find out what happened.
Where are they?
I don't know.
Richter? It's not exactly what's meant by the term the process of elimination. He figures Quaid's gotta be nearby, so just kill the fuck out of everybody until they either hand him over, or he dies in the chaos anyway. Problem is, Mr. Cohagen doesn't agree with this strategy.
Stop fighting and pull out.
But they've got Quaid, they're protecting him.
Perfect. Get out of Sector G, now. Don't think. Do it.
I wouldn't accuse the guy of running around screaming and shooting at everyone of thinking too much. As they escape, Doug, Melina, and Benny manage to make it past the shutters before Venusville is locked down and Cohagen promptly cuts off the supply of air. Not that it matters much to our group of heroes, they're past Venusville in the secret tunnels, where we find the Resistance is located. Melina thinks that they can trust Quaid now, otherwise why would Cohagen try to kill him? But what about Benny over here?
Hey, don't worry about me, man. I'm on your side.
Turns out he's been hiding some pretty damn awesome animatronics all movie. Alright, let him through. Upon getting through, George, played by Marshall Bell, tells Doug that their leader, Quato, wants to speak with him and find out just what it is he knows. Sure, Doug can't remember shit, but Quato's a mutant and therefore psychic, so such trivial details are of no concern. The fact that Quato is a weird Siamese beer belly, though, that's kinda fucked up.
Open your
for a rotisserie chicken. Diving into Quaid's deleted memories, there's a secret massive alien structure on Mars. A reactor of some kind. Not that we have too much time to get the details, as before long the agency shows up and begins killing everyone. Thus, Doug, Melina, Quato, and Benny must run for their lives.
Benny, hurry!
But it turns out Benny was working for Cohagen all along. And is just really lucky that Doug not only picked his cab out of all of the others, but also all of those bullets and drills didn't kill him on the way here. The story is that Benny's working for Cohagen because the man pays well, and all Quato manages to get out is that Doug has to turn the reactor on right before his psychic brains are decorating the tiles. With Doug and Melina captured, they are brought before Cohagen for the real surprise. Doug was also working for Cohagen all along.
The fact is, Hauser volunteered to become Doug Quaid. It was the only way to fool the psychics.
Oh, get your story straight.
If you needed my memory wiped to get past the psychics, how the hell was Benny able to get past the psychics with his memory perfectly intact? Never mind that detail. Cohagen says that his Quaid persona was originally his idea. The only way they could get to Quato and crush the resistance once and for all. Quaid still doesn't believe him, but a little message from Douglas Hauser confirming the story proves to be far more convincing. Problem is, it's also punctured with a note about how now Quaid is going to be erased so that Hauser can be put back into his brain.
Adios, amigo. And thanks for not getting yourself killed. Hey, maybe we meet in our dreams.
Okay, if this segues into a Schwarzenegger on Elm Street style slasher movie, I can get behind that. Now, they just plan to drag him off for memory erasure and reimplantation. What's Melina still doing there? Oh, fuck it. They can erase her memories too while they're at it, and make her into a nice, obedient wife for Hauser. Oh yeah, but there was also that small detail about leaving Venusville with no air.
Don't do anything.
But they won't last an hour, sir.
Fuck them. Be a good lesson to the others.
Don't you just love bad guys who simply adore being evil? Of course, only a fool thinks that reinforced steel restraints are even remotely capable of preventing Schwarzenegger from breaking free, killing the shit out of the mind wipe agents, and saving Melina in the nick of time. Of course, this means Cohagen has to come up with a new plan.
Kill him.
It's about goddamn time.
I don't know, I'm kind of worried that Quaid breaking out and killing agents was actually part of the plan still, and there's even more twists just around the bend. Where's Quaid? He's wasting no time trying to save Mars, heading to that alien reactor. Except, all they find is a stone wall where the tunnel should be. However, when Benny shows up in a giant drill to kill them, not only do they kill Benny first, but the drill just so happened to reveal the tunnel to the reactor. The agency is right on his tail, though, so utilizing that handy-dandy holographic projector, he and Melina stealthily mow down dozens of armed men before Doug and Richter make it to the elevator and duke it out.
See you at the party, Richter.
Oh, how could you kill that man, Arnold? He was completely unarmed. But there's one last twist before the finale. Seems Cohagen was also up there waiting for Doug. According to him, the reason the aliens never turned on the reactor is because it'll cause all the space magicium on the planet to blow the fuck up, destroying Mars. However, when discarding the bomb Cohagen planned to destroy the reactor, it blows up and opens a tunnel to the outside with no atmosphere, which means some good old-fashioned depressurization. At least for Cohagen, the first to get flung out and start choking and ballooning on the surface of Mars. Oh well, can't get much worse anyway, so Doug quickly activates the reactor despite the warnings, shortly before he and Melina are also flung outside. Of course, in Total Recall, Mars has a core of ice rather than the molten iron it's far more likely to have in reality, but fuck it, the ice can be made into steam! Which wouldn't help too much, but it's a big alien reactor, so something fission, oxygen, and clouds, and next thing you know, boom! The whole damn planet is covered in an atmosphere so fast the jets of air should have ripped Doug and Melina apart. But fuck it for now, happy ending! Cohagen is dead, Venusville is alive, and Doug managed to save the world and get the girl.
What if this is a dream?
Well, then kiss me quick before you wake up.
About Schwarzenegger, you're too slow. I gotta keep these clips short if I want to avoid catching the ire of the Content ID bot. Anyway, that was Total Recall. And it's a fucking masterpiece. And a lot of that has to do with the fact that the movie honestly doesn't explain too much to you. By the end, he saves the world and gets the girl. Or does he? Was it really all just a dream? He could have saved Mars, or it could have been an ego trip gone bad and now he's lobotomized. Or maybe it went exactly the way it was supposed to, and he's back on Earth working construction. The fact is, though, they don't need to explain this to make the movie feel satisfying. The twists are also very well done. They are telegraphed early enough in the movie, if you're paying attention, but still manage to surprise and hold some weight. Possibly because even when the twists happen, we are left wondering just how much is real and how much isn't. Even when you learn that Hauser made Quaid to get Quato for Cohagen, there's still the fact that he got the holographic projector watch in the suitcase early on, and that was instrumental not in getting Quato, but in sticking it to Cohagen and saving Mars. Also, visually this movie holds up extremely well. Several of the miniature shots do look like miniatures, but most of them are presented well enough that it doesn't feel too fake. Future Earth feels distinctly like Earth, but not like modern times. Mars is similar to Future Earth, but still distinctly its own setting. Even on Blu-ray, the classic special effects still hold up, and really make me wish Hollywood didn't rely on CGI for absolutely everything these days. Overall, Total Recall is yet another movie that has a reputation for being badass because it is simply badass. You're not going to find Oscar-winning monologues here, but the subject matter of real and fake memories and the implications of not knowing reality from an implanted fantasy lend themselves to deeper thinking than you might imagine, and having that as a central theme to a badass science fiction action extravaganza starring Arnold Schwarzenegger in his prime? How can this not come in at 5 disturbing deaths via depressurization out of 5? And yeah, there are a couple of small problems here and there, but in other news, the sun has spots. Thank you all for watching. I've been Dr. Shado, and remember, if you can.
Fuck 'em.